So we are going to start the next part of this session, and that is we are reading the book Concept and Reality, and someone may be ready with the book, and maybe I invite him to start from where we have stopped.
Asra Bante, hope you all can see the screen properly.
Yes.
So last week we actually finished the previous chapter, so we came up to the next chapter. So I'll start with the new chapter this today, Bante.
Yeah.
Commentarial interpretations of Papancha and Papancha Sanya Sanka. In our attempt to determine and evaluate the significance of Papancha and Papancha Sanya Sanka, we have had occasion to make stray references to some alternative interpretations advanced by ancient and modern scholars. However, we have not attempted therein any detailed or comparative study of the various interpretations, as it might interfere with the coherence of the theme. Hence, we shall now cite them together with relevant comments where necessary, so that it will give the reader something to go by in case he finds our evaluation of the subject to be unacceptable. The earliest commentarial definitions of the term Papancha and Papancha Sanka available to us are those in the canonical commentary Mahanidesa. Papancha yeva Papancha Sanka, Tanha Papancha Sanka, Ditti Papancha Sanka, Mana Papancha Sanka. Papanchas themselves are Papancha Sanka, to wit, Papancha Sankas of craving, weaves, and conceit. Number 2. Papancha eva Papancha Sanka, Tanha Papancha Sanka, Ditti Papancha Sanka, Katamang Tanha Papanchasya Moolam, Avijja Moolam, Ayoniso Manasikaro Moolam, Asmimano Moolam, Ahirikang Moolam, Anotappang Moolam, Uddachang Moolam. Anotappang Moolam, Uddachang Moolam. Katamang Ditti Papanchasya Moolam, Avijja Moolam, Uddachang Moolam. Papanchas themselves are Papancha Sanka. Papancha Sanka of craving and weaves. What is the root of craving Papancha? Ignorance is the root. Wrong reflection is the root. The conceit I am is the root. Lack of shame is the root. Lack of fear is the root. Restlessness is the root. What is the root of weaves Papancha? Ignorance, restlessness is the root. The two terms are here treated as synonyms. They are, however, not defined with reference to their etymology. Instead, we find a definition in extension giving 3 instances of Papancha. An attempt to probe into the roots of Papancha is also evident, but is not sufficiently suggestive of any basic significance that can be attached to Papancha. In the Nette...
One moment. So if you can go a little back, someone. Now, basically, we need to understand now what Katukunde Nyananda Thero is trying to do. So, as you all know, this is the kind of a thesis that he has prepared for his PhD. And so, from various different angles, now he is presenting his information related to the Prapancha, related to conceptual proliferation. So, he started with basic, early Buddhist teachings and taken some literature and then analyzed the term and etymology of the term, and all those things were covered. And then some deep meanings that he himself is suggesting. And various other sources are very well explained, like, say, for example, Yavakalapi Sutta, and giving some deeper understanding to the word. And now he is going to explore another area. So what is the kind of explanation given in the commentary and this commentator traditions to the Papancha? And one important thing that we can recognize is that a papancha has been sort of narrowed down to three categories: tanha papancha, ditti papancha, and mana papancha. Tanha, ditti, mana. So typically, we used to say whenever someone is asking, okay, what is papancha? Someone would say, okay, there may be overthinking happening because of tanha, because of craving. Maybe happening, kind of overthinking happens because of ditti, because of the wrong view. And there may be overthinking happening because of the conceit. Now, these are the typically someone, in general, someone is defining papancha, tanha, ditti, mana. I mean, these three are the causes, and as a result of these three causes, one can proliferate based on the craving, one can proliferate based on the conceit, one can proliferate based on various views. And that is what here emphasized in the one commentarial canonical commentary called Mahaniddesa. And according to it, papancha eva papancha sankha, tanha papancha sankha, ditti papancha sankha, and mana papancha sankha. Papanchas themselves are papancha sankha. That means papancha sankhas of craving, views, and conceit. So this is the general, very fairly accepted general meaning of papancha. The three categories: one is rooted with the tanha, craving; another one rooted with the ditti, the views, and the other one rooted with mana, the conceit. And then there's another explanation that explained in the same book, Nimahaniddesa. Papanchaya papancha sankha, tanha papancha sankha, ditti papancha sankha, katamang tanha papanchasa moolam. And now it is trying to give some further roots. So what has made tanha papancha? So it's giving a certain roots. Now, say for example, when we are talking a certain mental idea, some sort of a mental impression, and you can go to some roots. Typically, sometimes we call wholesome roots and the unwholesome roots. Typically, we say, okay, wholesome roots are alobha, adosa, moha, non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion, and the unwholesome roots are, say, wholesome roots are non-hatred, non-delusion, and non-greed. But on the other hand, the unwholesome roots are lobha, dosa, moha, greed, hatred, and delusion. Now, likewise, any kind of a wholesome thought can be, wholesome activity, wholesome thought can be drilled down to the roots. Typically, those are well explained. The lobha, dosa, moha. The opposite is alobha, dosa, moha. So similarly, here also, the commentary is trying to figure out, so what are the underneath, maybe chetasikas, what are the underneath characters which are contributing towards this tanha papancha sankha. And then the commentary is recommending avijja moolang, ayonaso manasikara moolang, asmi mana moolang, ahirikam moolang, anuttappam moolang, uddacham moolang. And similarly, the other papanchas are all very much like taken to the root. So, say for example, avijja moolang. So we can say this is very fairly to the moha, the ignorance or the delusion, avijja moolam. So whenever we are thinking based on the tanha related conceptualization, tanha related craving based some sort of overthinking. So the commentary suggesting, okay, it may have as a root some sort of avijja, some sort of ignorance is there. And similarly, ayoniso manasikara has to be there. So you simply has seen the outside appearance. You haven't gone deeper. Instead, you have simply done a kind of surface glancing. And as a result of that, you have simply taken kind of face value. Say, for example, you have seen a beautiful flower and it is quite attractive and you remember the name of that flower and it may be quite expensive and probably you want to pluck it and carry it to your home and put it into a vase and show it. And all these different kinds of thoughts can happen. And but underneath characters, underneath causes, we can say, okay, avijja is there. The ignorance is there because you didn't see the real nature of this flower. Because you started admiring it, you were very much like overwhelmed by its beauty, but you couldn't understand that this flower may sort of after a while it may fade away. It may become discolored. Its beauty may be reduced. Its beauty may be completely ceased. And so likewise, so that kind of impermanent characteristics is very much hidden to you because your mind is covered by ignorance, avijja. So that is one way we can analyze. But on the other hand, we can simply say, okay, this flower is continuously changing, but we can't see that. The naked eye can't visualize how this flower is changing. Instead, we simply have seen the beauty. So that's again another type of ignorance. Now, likewise, so we can't see the impermanence. Instead, we see the permanence. We can't see the suffering or the unsatisfactoriness. Instead, we see the happiness. So likewise, so the ignorance is one reason that according to the commentary, how it's influencing this tanha papancha. Then similarly, the ayoniso manasikara. So you have seen the flower as, okay, some beautiful lily flower, whatever the name, maybe a rose flower. So you have simply taken the conventional way and the kind of value judgments according to the present day system. And if someone is telling, okay, this is the best type of flower, or this is the more suitable kind of flower for a particular occasion. So likewise, so those typical conventional stuff you are including to your recognition. That is how you get the perception, and that is how you are giving some kind of value. So this is where we can say it's the ayoniso manasikara. You haven't seen maybe the elements, you haven't seen the impermanence, you haven't seen the unsatisfactoriness, you haven't seen some sort of the non-self characteristics. None of them are evident to us. Instead, we simply have taken the ayoniso manasikara way. So unwise attention is there. And then another mula, another cause is suggested by this Mahaniddesa is called Asmimana Mula. So Asmimana is where we are very much like our thinking pattern, our whole thinking psychology is based on this I-centered thinking. So I am here, there's a self here. So I see this flower. I want this flower. I like this flower. This is my flower. So likewise, underneath the understanding or underneath belief is there is a I here. There is a person here. With respect to this person, what is the relationship to this flower? I want this flower. I like this flower. This is my flower. Okay, this is my sister's flower. So whatever the way, so there is I. And based on this I do some sort of a conceiving. I do some sort of a manjana, the conceiving. So this Asmimana Mula is another interesting cause we can recognize. And then it is suggesting Anottappa Mula and Ahirika Mula and Anottappa Mula. Ahirika and Anottappa means the opposite of Hiri and Ottappa. Hiri is the moral shame, Ottappa is the moral dread. Now here, Ahirika Anottappa means the opposite. Say, we are lacking of the moral fear, we are lacking of the moral shame. So these are, I mean, sometimes we can argue telling, okay, these are some far away roots. So, okay, Lobha Dosa Moha may be the main roots. Yes, it can be true. But anyway, according to this, we are just trying to explain what is mentioned in this Mahaniddesa, what is extracted by this, pointed out by Katukunda Jnananda Thero. It is not that we are trying to judge this, whether this is correct or wrong, but rather we are trying to understand what is mentioned here and just to analyze the lesson and to get some understanding, to get some idea. So this Mahaniddesa is suggesting how this proliferation happened due to these different reasons. So one reason is avijja, the ignorance. Another reason is ayoniso manasikara, the wrong way of thinking. in a way, wrong attention, unwise attention, and then the asvimana, the I-centered thinking. Our whole thinking pattern is based on the centered I. As a result of that, the conceiving can happen. And then hiri and ottappa, ahirika and anuttappa. So the mind hasn't restrained well in a way. Mind is not restrained well, and we don't have much fear of proliferation, and we simply promote thinking, and we like thinking, and we enjoy thinking. We are delighted in thinking. So likewise, this our rooted some unwholesome tendencies we are now in a way promoting. So, for example, if you start liking and if you want it, if you desire it, and that is a way we are promoting some kind of a desire. But we are not afraid of doing it. We like to do it. We are enjoying it. We may be delighted about it. So that indicates, we have some ahirika and anuttappa. We are not afraid of allowing the mind to get obsessed. We are not kind of ashamed of allowing the mind to get obsessed. So we simply allow it. We simply allow the mind to get lost. So we simply allow the mind to proliferate. And we are not having enough moral shame and moral dread. So therefore, two causes highlighted by this Mahanidesa for this prapancha is ahirika and anuttappa. Then the other one is called the uddacha moolam. That means our mind can be restless. So the typical tendency in the mind is to become restless. It probably might not enjoy the calmness, the tranquility, the concentration. Rather, it want to jump from one thing to another thing. So likewise, the restless nature is there. As you all know, the restlessness is the hindrance which can last till the arahanthood. So it may not abandon when one even becomes a sotapanna, sakadagami, anagami, till one becomes an arahant. This uddacha is there. Uddacha is the restlessness, so this restlessness is there. Now, therefore, the one can argue, okay, restlessness is another route for this conceptual proliferation. So when we were discussing conceptual proliferation some time back, according to the certain suttas, like in the early Buddhist teachings, now there one explanation is kind of widening, or we can say spreading out. So one tendency, one attribute of prapancha is kind of spreading out. So your mind is not thinking in a particular orderly fashion. Rather, it's spreading out from this end to the other in other direction, and in a kind of a random way to many different directions, and it is spreading out. Now, this spreading out and restlessness can have kind of a relationship, because the restless mind also doesn't have any particular order. It can think about some past event, it can think about some future event, it may get distracted to some present sound, or maybe to a thought happening in the mind. So likewise, in an ad hoc way, kind of random way, the mind can become restless. So similarly, so the restlessness can be recognized as a cause for this papancha, and it's also appear like fairly reasonable to say for this tanha papancha, say the ignorance is a root, wrong reflection, that ayoniso manasikara is a root, then the conceit I am is a root, and lack of shame is a root, lack of fear is a root, and restlessness is another root. Now, similarly, it is explained about the views papancha. That means the ditti papancha, the same roots are mentioned. So the same thing. So like the ignorance, and then the ayoniso manasikara, the unwise attention, then wrong reflection, the conceit I am, lack of shame, lack of fear, and the restlessness. So likewise, all three types of prapancha are based on these three kind of series of causes. So that is what basically highlighted in this area. So we can understand to some extent these are little deeper psychology that this section is dealing with. So whenever we start thinking, particularly based on the craving, it is not merely craving which is contributing, but there are some very, very subtle underneath causes which are contributing towards this craving-based thinking. Similarly, when we are thinking with respect to the ditti, some wrong views, going the mind to this and that, and arguing and defending particular view and all that is happening, it is not merely the ditti, but we can drill down and recognize all these different multiple reasons, multiple causes. Okay, we can go a little bit further, Saman.
Yeah, Bhante. In the Nettipakarana, we come across a more pronounced attempt to unravel the meaning of the term. Papancha nama tanha dittimana tadabi sankatacha sankara. Papanchas are craving, weaves and conceits, and whatever preparations are activated by them. Number 2. Yochapi papancho yecha sankara yacha atitanagata pachuppannassa abhinandana idang ekattam. Whatever is papancha, whatever are the preparations, and whatever is the delighting in past, future and present, all these are the same. Number 3. Papancho nama vucchati anubandho. Papancha is so called because it's a pursuit. One seems to get a glimpse of the conceptual prolificity implied by papancha in the above 3 definitions. Firstly, the fact that papancha is taken to mean not only craving, conceit and weaves, but also the preparations or mental synergies activated by them is a notable advance. Secondly, there is a tendency to regard papancha, the preparations, and the delighting in past, present, and future as synonymous. This last mentioned type of delighting is strongly reminiscent of the Madhupindika formula of sense perception and is also a tacit recognition of the same prolificity in thought. Thirdly, in calling papancha a pursuit, yet another hint has been given in the same direction. According to the...
One moment. Yeah, wait. So, these are very subtle things we can't quickly rush through. So we have to spend some fair amount of time to discuss. And so now, Nettipakarana is another fairly deeper and analysis-based book available in the Kuddaka Nikaya. And according to the Nettipakarana, now most of the time Nettipakarana is giving this kind of various definition. So whenever we come across some kind of a concept in the Dhamma, so you can refer the Nettipakarana. It may give a fairly detailed explanation, a definition about that particular, say, concept. And so in a way we can see it's again a fairly deeper analysis happened after the Buddha's passing away, compiled by various monks maybe, and it is added to the Sutta Pitaka, the Kuddaka Nikaya. And according to it, so now we can see its definitions related to papancha. Papancha nama tanha ditti nama tadabi sankhata cha sankhara. Now papanchas are craving, views and conceit, and whatever preparations are activated by them. Whatever preparations are activated by them. Now the sankharas. Now this is a very, very interesting area. Now, whenever we see something, we can't simply see it. We start adding our own stuff into it. We start adding our own value judgments into our experience. We can't merely experience anything. So we can't do simply ditte ditta mattang in other terms. Now, typically we have heard about ditte ditta mattang bhavissati, that Buddhas were advised to Venerable Vahya. So Buddha ask him to restrain himself, telling, okay, when you see, don't add your own stuff. Keep seeing to mere seeing. Don't add anything. Maintain just a very calm, relaxed, untroubled, uninvolved, unagitated mind. So even though the eyes can see various things, don't allow your mind to get involved. Don't allow your mind to start thinking. Don't allow your mind to proliferate. And maintain the calmness, maintain the clarity. So this is the kind of an advice that Buddha is giving. But often we can see, whenever we see things, we start contributing to it, we start manipulating it, probably we start liking it, disliking it, hating it, want to own it, want to get closer to it, admiring it, criticizing it. All these things are there. But what is happened is a mere seeing. So all these additional things we call as the preparations. All these additional things are the sankharas. So one definition that explained in the sankhara, in the Kajjaniya Sutta, is the sankatang abhisankharonti. So we have the tendency in the mind as a result of this sankhara, that is sankatang abhisankharonti. Whatever conditioned, whenever we perceive or whenever we experience through our sense organs, we do our own preparations. We add our own stuff. We do our value judgments. And we do conceiving. And all these things are there. So all that are, in a way, one attribute is the sankhara. The sankhara skandha, the formations aggregate, is fairly responsible for this manipulation, for this fabrication, for this preparation. All these things are there. Now, here the idea explained in this Netippakarana is that yochapi pancho yecha sankhara yacha atitanagat papancha nama tanha ditti mana tadabi sankata cha sankhara. Now these are conditioned phenomena, and those conditioned phenomena are now further activated by them, are now further fabricated by them. So papanchas are craving, views and conceit, and whatever preparations are activated by them. So the mind get activated, mind start becoming agitated, start proliferating, start going into various directions. It may get into the obsessions, overthinking, etc., etc. Now all these are called papancha. Papanchas are craving, views and conceit, and whatever preparations are activated by them. So therefore, it is giving another kind of a broader meaning. So rather than simply saying tanha ditti mana are the papancha and sort of narrowing down the definition of papancha, now at this level, at the Netippakarana, some further inclusion has happened, telling these preparations, whatever preparations are activated by them. So there can be additional preparations, additional sankharas which are activated, and those also are papancha. So tanha ditti mana may be the main, but there are many others which have some roots to tanha ditti mana, but those are some further activations, those are some further preparations, those are some further fabrications. So we can see, in a way, prapancha and sankhara have a very important relationship. Now you can relate this with the Buddha's meaning or definition to the Nibbana. So one definition to Nibbana is Sabba Sankhara Samata. So you need to calm down all formations, stilling of all formations. So you can see how opposite is to overthinking, in a way, how opposite is to conceptual proliferation, the definition to Nibbana. So Nibbana and conceptual proliferation are entirely opposite. So if the mind is too much thinking, overthinking, conceptually proliferate, we can understand, okay, we are far from Nibbana. We are completely away from Nibbana. But on the other hand, if we are reducing our thinking, overthinking, proliferation, and instead we are calming down, relaxing, only very limited thinking, and maybe you experience non-thinking or absence of thinking, then we are getting closer to Nibbana. So I think that is enough for today. So likewise, these are some interesting explanations now Katugovinda Jnanananda Thero is finding and presenting, giving us various perspectives to Papancha. And the sources, now we already discussed one source coming from the Mahaniddesa, and now he is talking from the Nittipakarana. And we spent some time Nittipakarana first definition. We'll discuss the next one maybe in the next time. And now I like to open the session for questions.
Avasarai Bante, we have 6 questions today.
Right.
Question number 1 of 6. This is mindful sitting. Dear Bante, thank you for this program and much merits for your guidance. I am practicing mindfulness a few days, several hours per week, and sitting and walking, thanks to all of your efforts. Since I am still at the beginning, I feel my mindfulness drops off quickly after a session. I have added some day-to-day activities as well based on your advice. After a few months practice, I see that it is possible to continue being mindful from a walking and sitting session to immediate day-to-day activities like brushing teeth. But during the day it drops off, and I remember after several hours or during the night that I was completely off. Appreciate if Bante can explain if this is the right way of improving and what is the expected outcome as a goal for improving mindfulness. With metta, that's the end of the question.
Yeah, this is quite natural. I mean, so it appear like kind of discouraging because we are trying hard, and one day we are doing really well. Another day appear like completely lost, and we forget things and not at all mindful. So this is how it is happening at the beginning. So very much like, sometimes I like to say, it is very much like the grease tree. You know that in the typical Urdu, the New Year season, so people are arranging some funny games. One game is that you apply some grease, some lubricant, and then you ask the competitors to climb on it. And even though they try to climb, they quickly slip back. Start from the very beginning. Again, they go a little up, again slip back. Again, they go a little up, again slip back. So the practice is also very much like this. At the beginning, one day we appear like doing really well and everything's fairly good. But the next day we can find, okay, we almost like at the at the bottom. We need to start from the very beginning. So likewise, it is fluctuating, and the practice is not stable, and it is not retaining. Again and again, it is reversing. So these things are possible, but you need to be very, very patient. So don't get discouraged. This is how it is happening. You know that the retaining good qualities, retaining all these very positive, really beneficial, fairly sublime qualities in the mind is fairly difficult. So that is one effort that Buddha highlights in the the 4 categories of padhana virya. How to, or the effort that you are making to retain these developed good qualities. So don't get discouraged. So this is a very common thing.
Question number 2 of 6. This is a general question. Dear Bante, this question is about watching the mind during the practice as well as during the day. If we see the mind tangles with, let's say, angry thoughts, based on the teaching, we should check the characteristics compared to the untangled mind as Olarika, Sankhata, Paticca Samuppanna. The first one, Olarika, seems practical as we feel the gross nature of the thoughts, but the other two seems to need thinking and reasoning and logic oriented. Much merits for Bante's explanation and insights on how do we practically analyze these thoughts on the fly. With metta, that's the end of the question.
Yeah, Olarika, Sankhata, Paticca. But here it is not merely logical reasoning. Rather, at that moment, we have to look back. Now, say, for example, you start thinking about a particular person. Say you are being attracted to someone, and you assume now your mind was fairly calm and relaxed, fairly tranquil, no tanglement, but someone's image appeared to your mind, or you suddenly saw someone, somehow as a result of that you start thinking. Now you are into thinking, and maybe a kind of a desire might have arisen, a kind of sensual desire is there. So now the mind is agitated. Now assume, now we are trying to apply this method, Sankatang, Olarikam, Parissamuppanam. Now how to apply Olarika? Now previously your mind is quite simple. No much thinking, no proliferation, and not agitated, not burning. So very quiet, fairly simple. But the present state is, as you said, it is Olarika, it is quite gross. So we can understand comparatively where we were and now where we are. And the current status is kind of a gross. And as a result of that, now we need to abandon the current status and we need to revert back to the old, very subtle, calm, relaxed state. So that's the idea. And how about Sankatang, the conditioned? Now, previous stage where we were, actually we don't need to do much to have it. It is on the opposite. We have to stop doing, then only we can have it. The idea is, then whenever you see something, if you don't do anything, then you can maintain that calm state. But all additional stuff what we do makes the mind agitated. That may be thinking, that may be desiring, that may be combining to our old experience. We imagine, we go closer, we touch, and all these are additional works. All these are conditioning, further fabrication. As we just discussed on the Sankara Khanda. Now this is the Sankata Abhisankaronti. So there's a conditioned thing, and now we do further conditioning. Now, if we can recognize that I have done this, I have done my old addition, I have done my old fabrication, I have added my old value judgments. This is the Sankata. This is a conditioned thing. Where I was is a fairly simple state. It is not that conditioned in a way. So therefore, we can recognize the fairly conditioned, fabricated nature of the current agitated state, inviting us to return back to the fairly quiet, very simple state. Olarikam Sankatam Parissamupannam. Now, Parissamupannam, to some extent, we can say it. You need a little bit of theoretical background. How the grasping would happen with respect to sense bases. Say, Chakkunja paticca rupecha uppaje chakku viññānam tinnan sangati passo passa pacca vedana vedana pacca tanha tanha pacca upadana upadana pacca baho. So this kind of explanation is there in the Loka Samudaya Sutta. So idea is how this grasping has happened according to a causal reaction. Now, if you know this theory, it's a matter of figuring out that flow within your mind when the agitation happens. Say, for example, now your mind is agitated, now it is filled with various desires. Now you are looking back how to trace it to this formula, for example. How conditionally prepared this mind to the current state from the very different causes. Eye is involved, Rupa, the form is involved, the eye consciousness is involved, and then as a result of that, now the contact is happening, and as a result of that, now the feelings are happening. Now the feelings appear like beautiful, delightful, and now the grasping happens. Now you can figure out how these are happening in a kind of a chain reaction, one after the other, one stage after the other stage. So this is how, in a way, we can figure out this is the current agitated state is a conditioned state, conditionally arisen state. It's a Patissamuppanna. It needs a little bit of knowledge, some Dhamma knowledge, and Yoniso Manasikara. Nice reflection.
Thank you, Bhante. Question number 3 of 6. This is a general question. Dear Venerable Sir, I have been doing breathing mindfulness for several years, but never thought of or practiced mindfulness on feelings. Is there a simple and easy place to start focusing on feelings, maybe body pains and aches during sitting? Is there a benefit of mixing mindfulness on breathing and other satipatthana with metta? That's the end of the question.
I would suggest not to purposely mix, but if you are happy that you have been practicing Kayanupassana for a considerable period of time and now a fair improvement you can recognize. So mind is fairly calmed down and you can maintain your attention for a long period of time. So enough concentration, the focused attention is there. So likewise, the certain amount of necessary qualities, the necessary skills are developed, then probably your suggestion may be valid. Again, if it is naturally going to the other side, that means say you are in the recognition of various bodily phenomena, say Kayanupassana level, naturally now the mind is shifting towards recognizing various feelings. As you suggested, maybe some painful feelings, maybe some irritations, maybe some, say, numb type of sensation, maybe even pleasurable sensations. Now, if the mind is interested of looking at them, yes, certainly there is a benefit. Because, say, the Anapanasati has taken you to a one level and it has contributed fair amount of mindfulness, wisdom to your spiritual qualities. And with that developed qualities, now you can try Vedananupassana. That's not a bad thing. It's always a kind of an encouraging thing. But do not rush, by the way, and don't rush to try various techniques. Be fairly familiar to one technique, fairly thorough in it, and develop a fair amount of skillful qualities using it. Then we can slowly navigate to the others.
Thank you, Bhante. Question number 4 of 6. This is a general question. Most respected dear Bhante, I worship Bhante and request permission to clarify a few things, please. From my childhood, I used to check my behavior at the end of the day and enjoy it if I did not do any unwholesome activity. My theme was Rahasinvat Pau Nokarami. After starting the mindful practices, currently I can very easily identify if any mistakes happen from my side. And I observe that some incidents are coming as a sanya while I am spending a secluded time. And my mind is continuously asking, why did you behave in that manner? Then my mind is not giving any explanation. But I can clearly identify the restless nature and sadness of the mind. If I cannot tolerate it further, I used to directly communicate with the victim party and ask their views or request an apology. However, based on my past experiences, most of the time the other party was not so serious like me, and I felt that I have created another chapter. Then sometimes I am getting doubt in my practice too. Dear Bhante, I am humbly requesting the best practices to solve my issue from Dhamma point of view with some sutta references, please. Theruvan Saranai. That's the end of the question.
Yeah, I mean, this is a common problem to some people because you know that certain people are not that concerned about these little things. They simply ignore these things. But certain others are quite sensitive and they are quite considerate. In the other hand, fairly sensitive for these people, and they have the tendency to think too much and overthink about it and want to be perfect. So I never want to make any mistake. I want to be perfect. I should never hurt another one. So this is the kind of a perfectionism that we sometimes try to implement. But first of all, we need to understand we are human. So we are not arahants and we are simply humans. And the human nature is to make mistakes. So first of all, have some self-compassion because allow yourself to make mistakes. Don't think that you are a saint, that you can never make mistakes. The nature is to make mistakes. I am not encouraging doing mistakes, but give some provision, give some sympathetic allowance for you to do mistakes. Actually, this is something I have found that Ajahn Brahmanso Thero is most often kind of explained. And you know that even recent, not the recent visit, but the previous visit that he made to Sri Lanka, there was a complication happened at the airport. I heard that he missed the plane while he was waiting on the launch. But anyway, his comment was not to punish the people and rather take it as a big event. Rather understand, okay, this is the human nature. Making mistakes is part of the thing. So therefore, don't be so critical and understand. Okay, have some self-compassion. Don't punish yourself. Have some self-compassion. Understand. Okay, the mind make these kind of mistakes, and I sometimes do some mistakes, and my judgments may be wrong. My decisions might be wrong. But at that moment, okay, I have behaved in a fairly sensible manner. But on the other hand, I might have behaved in a little, say, ignorant manner. This is possible. But the Buddha's teaching always gives us provision to correct ourselves. You know that for monks, there is a provision given something called apatti desana. Every day or when it is possible, you are supposed to do apatti desana. That means kind of a confession, and you go to a monk and pay respect if he is an elder, and then say, okay, Bhante, during today I have made these kind of different mistakes. Please apologize. Not to him, actually, I made mistakes, but in general, I have done certain mistakes, maybe due to lack of mindfulness, due to wrong understanding. So these could be the reasons. So please accept my confession. Then the other monk simply say, are you seeing the mistakes? Yes. Now the other party is saying, yes, I can see the mistake. Okay, then fine. So this is the Buddha Sasana for you to further correct yourself. So be further mindful and don't punish yourself. Instead, don't do it. Don't do that mistake again. That's all. So therefore, it's a very, you know that the Buddha Sasana is a Sasana based on compassion. It is not a Sasana based on very critical punishment. It's fairly based on the compassion. So some people require this compassionate attitude. And no one can be perfect, even though we have the perfectionism. Some kind of inclination towards perfection is there within ourselves. We sometimes make mistakes, but that we need to acknowledge. Okay, I made a mistake. Now, say, for example, we have the vow not to kill animals. But assume that somehow you suddenly killed a mosquito. So what are you going to do? So basically, you need to accept, okay, I made a mistake. I was not that considerate. I was not that mindful. I allowed the body to act in a unskillful way, habitual way. So you accept it. And next time you are suggesting, okay, let me be a little more considerate. So that's all. So therefore, don't think too much and don't punish yourself. So we make mistakes. That's the human nature, and just understand it. I mean, our objective is to be good. Our honest objective is to be good, but still, the mistakes can happen. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante. Question number 5 of 6. This is a Dhamma sermon question. Dear Bhante, much merits for today's book reading. Related to the passage today, can you give some context around what is commentarial interpretation basis, and if multiple authors had written these commentaries, is it comparable and equally valid as the Tripitaka? With metta. That's the end of the question.
No, this is a kind of a controversial thing. So some teachers argue, okay, they have their own deviations. We can't sometimes make well aligned. They are not making their definition, their explanations well aligned with the Tipitaka, well aligned with the traditional canon, the three baskets. But they have their own definitions, they have their own inclinations, they have their own say deviations. Now these things are there. Now that is one area Katukunda Thero is highlighting. Even in the Nibbana sermons, you can see at certain places he argue, okay, this is the definition that we can derive from the early Buddhist teachings, but this is the definition given by the commentator. You compare and see which one is much better. So likewise, it's a very reasonable way that one can analyze. But it doesn't mean that every time the commentator is making mistakes. Rather, they are doing a really great job, and they have done a marvelous job by kind of giving some more detailed explanations. But still, there seems to be certain discrepancies.
Question number 6 of 6 is the last question. Dear Bhante, can you please explain a bit about moral shame and moral dread as explained by Buddha? How important are these things in realizing Dhamma apart from prapanya? That's the end of the question.
Yeah, actually, these are very, very important. And Hiri-Ottappa are according to the Buddhist teachings, they are the governing factor of the whole world. You know that the Deva Dharma, so they are godly type of qualities that we all have to have. So when we don't have moral shame and moral dread, people can do anything bad. So they don't worry, they don't care, and they don't have any shame, they are not fearful. Instead, they simply do whatever the bad thing, whatever the wrong thing, in a very easy way. Say, for example, if someone is not having any moral shame, they can do any kind of a cheating, maybe millions of money, they can easily cheat because they don't have moral shame. On the other hand, if they don't have any fear, moral fear, still they can do this kind of cheating, stealing, frauding, etc. because they don't have fear. But later, probably, ultimately, what happened is maybe the government retrace what has happened, they hand it over to the CID, or they being punished, they being imprisoned, or in the next life, what would be the repercussion? All these things are there, but currently the people ignore that. The people ignore the consequences, and they have kind of a very fearless attitude to do the wrong thing. But Buddha encouraged Hiri-Ottappa. You know that there's a beautiful sutta called Sati Sampajanya Sutta. There, interestingly, Buddha mentioned Sati Sampajanya is the base for a lasting Hiri-Ottappa. You can't simply impose Hiri-Ottappa to yourself. If you have mindfulness and clear comprehension, then there's a very strong, valid base for you to have Hiri-Ottappa. It's very much like the foundation. So the Hiri-Ottappa is very much like the walls of the house. The mindfulness and clear comprehension appear like the foundation for that house. So therefore, Hiri-Ottappa is in a way a product of mindfulness and clear comprehension. You can refer Sati Sampajanya Sutta. So one way that Buddha explained mindfulness and clear comprehension is that its contribution towards this Hiri-Ottappa. So that implies how much value Buddha is giving to this Hiri-Ottappa. Once Hiri-Ottappa is fairly developed, then we are coming to three kind of proper activities. Say Kaya Sucharita, Vak Sucharita, Mano Sucharita. You are doing correct things through the body, correct things through the words, correct things through the mind. So likewise, these things have big relationship, and it's quite admired by the Buddha.
Yes, Bhante, we have come to the end of the written questions. So we can move on to doing the guided sitting now, or we can.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Okay.
So sorry, I have to come little late, so I have to travel from one place to another place. And presently, I am staying at London Buddhist Vihara and conducting this program. And thanks for arranging everything. And I wish you all the best. And I'll take leave now. Theruwan Sarnai.
Theruwan Sarnai. Sorry. To end the program, I would first like to pass our merits to Bhante and thank Bhante for his valuable time, even with the busy schedule at the monastery. To all the supporters of this program, both seen and unseen, and to the participants for joining today to practice and share their questions. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Theruwan Saranai.